The fun and much more affordable Rivian R2, launching in the first half of 2026 and starting at $45,000, has had some exciting updates in the past few weeks, showing us progress towards real-world production and a few details about the internal components, such as the motor and wiring harness, that have me extremely bullish that Rivian's going to actually hit and maintain that $45,000 starting price point. So let's go ahead and dive right in. First, we have some really fun wraps that continue a tradition that Rivian has of putting these camouflage wraps on their vehicles that are early in the production prototype phase. This goes all the way back to the original prototypes of the Gen 1 Rivian R1T and Rivian R1S, where they usually take some kind of outdoorsy theme, abstract patterns, and essentially let their designers go kind of crazy. Now, most of the time, these vehicles have already been announced and sort of shown to the world, as we've seen with the R2 here, but there's usually a few little details that are refined or polished or considered by the team as they inch closer and closer to production. The vast majority of the vehicle is set at this point, so that's not really what's being hidden. There's no major update, major facelift, but there's going to be a few little things tucked away in there that the design team wants the liberty to be able to, nudge, polish, or whatever along the way. However, this does show us that the Rivian R2 is going to be out in the real world, so definitely keep your eyes peeled if you're in the areas where Rivian tends to do these real-world trials, because they're hitting both the road and the trail to get lots of data and durability testing about their design out in the real world with real temperatures and real terrain and real conditions. This is a really exciting update. Here's a quick video from the senior exterior designer at Rivian on the R2 project, talking about the wrap and what this means for the stage and progress for the R2 design.
Hey man.
Go ahead, pick one.
Oh. Show us R2 wraps. Yeah, that'd be cool. Should we do that today? So an R2 wrap is a camouflage that we wrap over our development vehicles. Traditionally in the automotive world, you do this in black and white. It's really meant to camouflage the vehicle. For us, we just wanted to have a lot more fun with it, be a bit more playful with it. This is one of our R2 wraps, camouflage wraps that we've been developing in the studio. Surrounded by nature here, and really inspired by that as we develop this vehicle to go any place it needs to go. This one's inspired by Joshua Tree. We've got a little gear guard as an Easter egg here, he's waving at you. Really having fun of it. The design team had so much fun iterating, designing different ideas and patterns we could have. It really is the fun of the development of R2. This is just another signal that we're well on our way and R2's coming, and can't wait to get it in the hands of customers. And that's it.
So one thing that the designer mentioned is actually that there's going to be some hidden Easter eggs in these wraps that are not super obvious. So I'm really looking forward to spending some time and probably overanalyzing some of these photos about the exterior wrap to try to find details and clues about Rivian R2 that should be special and are not yet announced. So take a look at these images and see if you can find anything fun, sort of a Where's Waldo experience here on the wraps. And if you find something interesting, or that you think has a theory behind an R2 feature or component, definitely drop it down in the comments and we can hopefully go through this discovery process together. I think that would be super fun. Next, we have a quick update on the Maximus drive unit. This is the motor that is powering the Rivian R2. Now, Rivian has gone through some motor iterations over their prior versions. In the Gen 1, when it first launched, it was a quad motor only, and it was using these Bosch motors, which are great motors. But then they ultimately launched their in-house design, which they called Enduro, used in the dual motor variants as well as the electric delivery van. Enduro had a big step forward in terms of thermal performance, efficiency, and consolidation in design, as well as, of course, big cost savings for them being an in-house design as opposed to one that they're buying from a vendor such as Bosch. Here with the Maximus drive unit, they continue that tradition of great engineering and trying to improve and consolidate parts and reduce the overall complexity so that they can improve manufacturing efficiency, installation process, and overall meet that lower cost to production for the R2. In this design, as you can see in the photos here, they've streamlined some of the internal components. They've incorporated things like the mounting mechanisms into the design of the motor itself. So there's fewer components, fewer fasteners required to actually get the motor into the R2, which is, I think, going to be great towards that, again, that cost savings, efficiency of manufacturing, so they can knock these vehicles out faster and at less cost, make sure we can get more into the hand of eager consumers, and make sure that that price stays down and Rivian can survive and be profitable long term. So this is a really cool step, and I love that Rivian is doubling down on great engineering here and really putting their focus, effort, and energy into winning through engineering. Continuing that theme of engineering, they actually revealed that the wiring harness has had a significant reduction from even Gen 2. From Gen 2 to the Rivian R2, we actually see a significant 2.3 miles of wiring reduction, which is 20 kilograms or 44 pounds, and they've reduced the connectors by 60%. At this point, there's not a whole lot more that can probably be consolidated or streamlined, and so this is really sort of peak efficiency for them. There's always a few things I'm sure you can do, but we've really sort of hit a really nice, simple infrastructure here for the wiring harness. And as impressive as that is, if you actually zoom out just a little bit more, you may remember with Gen 1 to Gen 2, they made a similar significant reduction in wiring and components. From Gen 1 to Gen 2, they actually dropped 1.6 miles of wire, quite a few pounds of weight, and added a lot to the simplicity of the design, making manufacturing easier and less expensive. When you combine the efficiencies that have been gained between Gen 1 and Gen 2, and then Gen 2 to R2, you're actually saving almost 4 miles of wire, which is a huge savings in terms of cost, a huge savings in terms of weight, and it should really lead credence to continuing that march towards that more affordable price point for future models. And we're probably going to see the same thing trickle down into R3, R3X, as well as other future variants that Rivian decides to ship. I'm really pleased to see them continuing the effort and not being satisfied with their already class-leading efficiency that Gen 2 has in terms of the way that it's assembled and put together, second only really to Tesla. This new jump to R2 may even put them ahead, considering I'm not the one actually assembling the vehicles at each plant, and I'm not the engineers that are designing it. I can't tell you for sure, but this has to put them into a really substantially strong position when it comes to their overall design. The other great piece here, if you're just sort of a person who's interested in Rivian as a company and their health as a company, is that these are tied to the internal components in ECU design that they're doing in partnership with Volkswagen. So this leads further to the value and assets that they can put into that Volkswagen joint venture, which will not only be distributed and magnified across the Volkswagen Auto Group, which is, of course, Volkswagen and Audi and Porsche and all the other brands that Volkswagen controls, but then you also have the overall market from players such as Ford or GM or other manufacturers that may want to then just simply buy the licensing for access to these ECUs, this streamlined wiring harness, and the software that runs it. Ford actually recently gave up on a big project to try to do a similar thing where they had spent many billions of dollars and ultimately gave up. And so you look at that in legacy OEM, and that really opens up the addressable market for Rivian in general. Now, there's a little bit of everything here. Just wanted to kind of give you a quick update on R2 in general. I know a lot of you are really excited about the launch of Rivian R2. I know I'm excited about the launch of Rivian R2. Whether you want a smaller vehicle, whether you want a cheaper vehicle, whether you want just a more nimble vehicle that you can rip around the track with that tri-motor is going to be extra spicy. I think there's a lot to like and a lot to look forward to as we get closer and closer to actual production. So leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe on this video. It really helps out the channel. Until next time, stay curious.